Have you ever noticed that right when your life finally starts to look good, you find a way to blow it up? You get the job, you meet the right person, you finally save some money, and then, out of nowhere, you self-sabotage. You procrastinate. You pick a fight, you retreat into your shell. Society tells you it's just a lack of discipline. Your therapist might call it anxiety. But I'm going to tell you the brutal, unfiltered truth: comfort has become your cage. You are terrified of peace because your nervous system was programmed in a war zone. You think you are the one making choices right now, but you're not. The person sitting in the driver's seat of your life is an 8-year-old child. A wounded, scared, traumatized version of you who is desperately pulling the steering wheel. Every time you get close to happiness, because happiness feels unfamiliar, and to an unhealed inner child, unfamiliar equals dangerous. This isn't just psychology. This is the deepest algorithm of the universe. This is what the ancients called karma. It's not a mystical punishment. It's a corrupted operating system, looping the same glitch over and over, until you finally look at it. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, I am going to give you the exact debugging tool to pull that child out of the driver's seat and finally take control of your own destiny. I know exactly what that invisible wall feels like because I slammed into it for years. On the outside, my life looked like a massive success story. I had built businesses, I was running digital channels, and I knew how to optimize every single workflow. I was the guy people came to for strategy. But the truth, behind closed doors, I was completely falling apart. I remember this one Tuesday night. It was 2 a.m., and I was standing in my dark kitchen, mindlessly washing the exact same coffee mug over and over again. My brain was screaming. It was running 1,000,000 miles an hour, analyzing a minor mistake I made in an email 3 years ago, and dreading a future that hadn't even happened. I was exhausted to my bones. But I was absolutely terrified to go to sleep, because sleep meant the noise would stop, and in the silence, I would have to face the massive, echoing void inside my own chest. So, what did I do? I did what we all do. I numbed it. I crawled into bed and fell right into the smartphone trap. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You tell yourself, just one short video to wind down. Cut to 3 hours later, and you are still doom scrolling. Or you binge an entire season on Netflix. You don't even care about the characters. You just need the flashing lights and the artificial drama to drown out the heavy, suffocating weight of your own existence. It's a digital anesthetic. We live in a society that hands us these high-speed dopamine pacifiers so we never, ever have to look inward. But every time that screen goes black, the reflection staring back at you in the dark glass isn't a successful adult. It is that same wounded, terrified 8-year-old kid, begging to know, are we safe yet? And the brutal answer is always no. For the longest time, I genuinely believed my problem was just a lack of discipline. I thought I was lazy. I bought every productivity app. I read the morning routine books. And I tried to brute force my brain into being happy. But here is the hard truth I had to learn. You cannot outwork a trauma response. Think of your mind exactly like a brand new smartphone. When you first get it, it runs perfectly. Fast, clean, limitless. But over the years, starting in your childhood, you unknowingly download hidden background apps. Apps like, I am only loved when I achieve things, showing emotion is dangerous, or if I get too happy, something bad will happen. These apps were installed by your parents, your teachers, your environment people, who were also running on heavily corrupted software. Now, you are in your 20s or 30s. Your battery is constantly draining to zero by 2 p.m. Your system is crashing every time you try to form a healthy relationship. And what do? You blame the hardware. You think you are fundamentally broken. But you aren't broken. You are just running a heavily corrupted operating system. I had to hit absolute rock bottom before I realized that trying to fix my adult problems with adult logic was a complete waste of time. I was trying to negotiate with the matrix, while the code itself was broken at the source. This is the exact truth that Eastern philosophy has been trying to hand us for thousands of years. We talk about karma like it's a mystical scoreboard in the sky tallying up your sins. It is not. Karma is your behavioral loop. It is your unhealed trauma repeating itself across time. And the only way to actually break the wheel of karma is to stop running. You have to go down into the dark basement of your subconscious. Look that crying 8-year-old in the eye, and finally become the parent they never had. I used to treat my own mind like it was enemy territory. Every time a wave of anxiety, imposter syndrome, or that familiar urge to self-sabotage hit me, I went to war. I thought if I just worked harder, if I just distracted myself enough with a new project, a new business, or another hour of endless scrolling, I could kill the weakness inside me. But here's the terrifying part about fighting your own mind. Your mind knows exactly where all your weakest spots are. Let's strip away the religious dogma for a minute and look at one of the most profound psychological blueprints ever recorded. 2.5 millennia ago, a man named Siddhartha sat under a bodhi tree, determined to hack this exact glitch of human suffering. The ancient texts say that as he was on the brink of total awakening, he was attacked by Mara, the lord of illusion and death. Mara unleashed an absolute apocalypse. He sent armies of demons firing flaming arrows. He sent seductive illusions. He used every terrifying trick in the universe to make Siddhartha break his focus, panic, and run away. But here is the massive twist, and this was the exact realization that finally broke my own cycle of self-sabotage. Mara wasn't some literal monster living in the clouds. Mara was Siddhartha's own ego. Mara was his generational trauma. Mara was his inner child, screaming in absolute terror, because its survival mechanisms were being shut down. When you finally sit still, when you put the phone away and confront your own mind, your nervous system will launch a full-scale assault against you. It will flood you with anxiety. It will tell you you're going crazy. It will bring up every embarrassing memory and every deep-seated fear. Why? Because your wounded inner child believes that if you change, if you let go of the familiar pain, you will lose your identity and die. The internal war is real, but the demons you are fighting are just fragmented pieces of your own broken heart. Part B. 1730 characters. I was living my life exactly like Sun Wukong, the Monkey King from Eastern mythology. If you don't know the story, he was vastly powerful, deeply arrogant, and incredibly chaotic, destroying everything in his path, because he thought he could outrun his own emptiness. He represents our hyperactive, modern, dopamine-addicted minds. For years, I was that monkey. I was flying 1,000,000 miles an hour, launching channels, trying to control every outcome, thinking I could outsmart the void inside my chest. But no matter how far Sun Wukong flew, he eventually realized he could never escape the palm of the Buddha. And here is the kicker. The Buddha didn't fight the Monkey King with weapons. He didn't try to destroy him. He simply observed him and encompassed him with total acceptance. This is the ultimate karmic test, and it's the hardest thing you will ever do. When the anxiety hits, when the urge to self-sabotage rises in your chest, your American instinct is to fight it or numb it. But fighting your inner child is like trying to put out a house fire with a bucket of gasoline. The harder you fight the panic, the stronger the panic gets. When Mara fired those flaming arrows at Siddhartha, he didn't raise a shield. He didn't fire back. He simply observed them with absolute, unconditional compassion. And before they could strike his body, The arrows turned into lotus petals and fell harmlessly to the ground. He didn't conquer his demons by destroying them. He conquered them by removing their power through pure observation. I had to learn this the hard way. The final boss of your life isn't a demon you have to kill. The final boss is a terrified, lonely child you finally have to embrace. So how do we actually debug this corrupted system? How do you stop that terrified 8-year-old from pulling the steering wheel every time you get close to peace? For years, my strategy was just to outwork it. I thought if I scaled my businesses, optimized my channels, and controlled every single variable in my daily life, the anxiety would eventually starve to death. But that was a trap. You cannot control the external world enough to fix an internal glitch. Here is the ultimate cognitive slap. The realization that changes absolutely everything. You are not your thoughts. Let me say that again, because it took me a decade of exhaustion to actually hear it. You are not the voice inside your head. You are the awareness listening to that voice. Right now, your inner child is throwing a tantrum, generating thoughts of fear, imposter syndrome, and self-sabotage. Because you identify with those thoughts, you suffer. You think you are the one panicking. But the moment you step back and simply observe the thought, the algorithm breaks. This is what real karmic debugging looks like. It is not some mystical ritual. It is a precise shift in perspective. The next time you feel that sudden, overwhelming urge to self-sabotage, whether it's picking a fight with someone you love, abandoning a project you worked hard on, or reaching for your phone to numb out, I want you to stop. Drop the phone. Do not fight the panic. Just sit right there. Look at the physical panic in your body, and mentally say, I see you. I know you are scared. But I am the adult now. And we are safe. You are not the weather, you are the sky. Storms of trauma will roll in. But the sky is never damaged by the storm. By simply observing the sensation without judgment, you are rewriting the source code. You are finally proving to your nervous system that you don't need to run anymore. Healing your inner child isn't about fixing yourself, because you were never broken. It is about realizing you were whole the entire time. The universe will keep putting you in the exact same painful situations until you learn the lesson and break the loop. So stop running. Turn around, face that child inside you, and bring them home. If this perspective shifted something for you, subscribe and join the conscious revolution. The matrix relies heavily on your unconsciousness. It is time to wake up.